Live from the chicken wing capital of the world, Buffalo, New York. You're listening to the Childcare Bridge podcast, your source for the best tips, tools, and tactics on how to market and grow your childcare center, ensuring total domination. Total domination. This is the Childcare Bridge, and this is your host, Michael Tasner.
What if I were to tell you that you have your blinders on? Now, I get it. You are literally doing the best that you can to grow your business. You're doing the best that you can to keep your staff happy, to keep families happy, the kids educated, make an impact, make a difference. So you've got those blinders on because you're laser focused. But what's happening all around us, and this trend that is going to completely revolutionize everything. It's going to put millions and millions of people out of business. It's going to change everything. It's literally getting better and smarter every hour. It's somehow not at the forefront of your mind. And this topic is AI, artificial intelligence. Now, in today's podcast, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit more in broad strokes. But what I've decided to do over the next couple of weeks is really start to unpack this for you so you can start to realize that, I need to do something with this. And I'm going to kind of start again at a high level. I'm going to be a little more broad, and then we'll kind of go down a little bit more into the weeds in the coming weeks. So this week, I had the privilege of doing a presentation to a bunch of business owners in Buffalo and Rochester, New York, titled How to AIify Your Business. And I broke it into two completely different kind of presentations. The morning presentation was theory and stats and the why behind this. And then in the afternoon, I went through the 4 core areas of business that we've talked about on this podcast many, many times. This MAST framework that I have been talking about and teaching you week after week. Marketing, accounting, systems, team. And I went through every one of those areas and said, here are 10 things, 5 things, 20 things that you can leverage AI to either accelerate or, my favorite, is to completely replace someone on your team that is not going to be able to get to the level that you need. And all of a sudden you're leveraging an AI tool and you just replaced a $40,000, $50,000 a year team member or more. So why is this something that child care center owners need to pay attention to? Why does this matter when you have a brick and mortar business where families are walking in, kids are there learning physically? This matters because the speed at which things are changing is unlike anything I have ever seen in my career. Now, just about 20 years ago, I did a presentation. And this presentation was all about the hottest trend, and that at the time, and still is among the hottest trends, was mobile marketing. So think about that, 20 years ago. Speaking from a stage, I was actually at a credit union conference, all credit union leaders. And my topic was how you are going to be completely disrupted over the next 5 to 10 years. Now, thankfully, I was a little bit ahead of my time. I called the trend beautifully. Like mobile completely revolutionized everything, and it's continuing to do the same. But with everything that I am seeing all day, every day with artificial intelligence, I don't want to use the word scared, because it's not that I'm scared, but it's a level of nerves that if you do not start to leverage this, you are going to be so far behind. And these bigger box franchises are literally going to eat you for breakfast because they're going to be more efficient. They're going to be able to have rates potentially that you could never offer, and give more value, and have a newer building and better technology, because they're learning about how they can use AI to be more efficient. Now, when I look at how could AI really help childcare centers, I'm going to talk in a few broad strokes today, and then we're going to go through all the different areas of marketing and accounting, systems, strategy, team. We're going to go through every one of those, and I'm going to talk through, because what I'm looking for you to do is to remove your blinders and start to say, that's interesting. That's interesting. Well, what if I tested that out? What if I didn't continue to do things the exact same way? Now, one of the stats that has been a little bit alarming to me is that there's this adoption level of AI. And on small businesses across the globe, the adoption level is right around 25%. So 1 in 4 businesses have now been embracing AI. However, on the flip side, the enterprise adoption, so bigger businesses, bigger companies, it's 90%. So if they're on the bandwagon, if they're innovating, if they're starting to move the needle, and have been for a lot of these organizations the last year or two, or even farther back, and small businesses are at the 25% level, there's going to be an absorbent amount of inefficiencies. And when you create more efficiencies, you can either reap the additional profits, or you can lower prices. Because now you're making more money because you were able to reduce your overhead, your costs. And now all of a sudden they're reducing, but you're not able to do that, and you can't figure out how they could do that or why they would do that. So if you do not start to jump on this trend, and I wouldn't even call it a trend, I would call it a revolution. I'm at the place within my organizations that we are doing a complete 360, because I don't believe that marketing agencies as they are today are going to exist in the next 2 to 3 years. Hundreds of thousands of marketing, completely going to be gone out of business. Like the days of, well, we're just going to come and do some Facebook ads to drive you more enrollments, those days are long over. Every other day I see a new agency that pops up that makes a fake name, and they run ads to childcare centers and say, we're going to drive you 30 enrollments in 2 months, guaranteed, or your money back. I see these pop up every single day. No one can guarantee anything like that unless they're literally at your center, physically doing the tours and actually closing the leads. But that's a good service, but it's getting to a place where there's so much more. There's so many other platforms that you need to be on. There's the amount of content that you need to be cranking and putting out all over the place. The speed at which you need to be getting back to people. Everything is getting faster and faster, and agencies aren't going to be able to keep up. We are going 1,000% all in on AI. 1,000%. We're now starting to execute AI for childcare centers on a covert op basis. I always like to test everything before we roll anything out to the masses, and the results have been unlike anything I could have ever have imagined. So if you know data point number 1 is that why would enterprises be adopting this at 90% and small business 25%? Well, there's a lot of myths that this is extremely expensive. You need to have highly technical people on staff. Like, you might be able to replace one person, but you're going to have to add this tech person in your office or at your centers. There's this notion that AI is going to replace every single team member. We'll dispel that in just a minute. It's not like this is wizardry. Is there some things that are a little bit complicated? 100%. But are there some quick wins? That is where I want you to focus as you work with me, as I'm teaching you over the next couple of weeks and into the future. I want you to look for the quick wins. What is that one thing that you can implement that can reduce error rates, redundancies, inefficiencies quickly. Now, the other stat that I find fascinating is that the electrical systems and the amount of electricity and power over the next 5 years is going to have to double. So everything, if you think of our infrastructure right now, everything that we have currently is going to have to double in 5 years just to power all the computers and everything that is moving, all of the demands for electric and for power over the next 5 years. This is not something that you can just ignore and say, I will get to it when I get to it. And this is also not just you using Chat GPT. Is that a form of AI? Definitely. But the stuff that we're going to continue to talk about is moving to the next level. So where do you start? Where I like to see you starting is over the next 30 days, I want you to observe everyone, including yourself, everything that is going on across your center. I want you to make copious notes of everything that is being done. I want to know all the logging of data. I want to know the time tracking. I want to know how reports are being sent to parents and put in a particular tool. I want to know about the bookkeeping and the accounting and the invoicing and making collection calls. I want to know about the lead management and the lead follow-up. I want every single thing. And what you're looking to do here is to develop a very long list of projects and tasks that are getting done on an hourly basis, a daily basis, a weekly basis, and a monthly basis across your center. I need to know the what. Like, what is actually being done? If I don't know what is being done, I can't start to infuse my energy and my time and say, well, I've noticed that every single day our teachers have to sit and manually copy and paste from this form into another one, and it takes roughly 20 minutes a day. But I need to have this audit. I need to have this to-dos. Now, the other column, as you're jotting things down, it doesn't necessarily need to be perfect, is how long is this particular task taking? And then what is the redundancy? So let's just say, as an example, there's obviously a lot of compliance requirements. How much time are you spending? How are you doing it? Where are you getting the data from? Where are you then inputting the data? Looking at the accounting side, how is that being done? How often? How long are certain things taking? Are you manually taking paper credit card statements and logging these into QuickBooks? I hope not, but until you actually pause and observe and literally walk around with the equivalent of a clipboard, and you might tackle one area first, but the downside of not going all the way across your center is you're going to miss stuff. You might say, well, why would I observe what the receptionist says? Like, they're checking people in, they're watching the door, they're watching the cameras. Okay, great. I want you to write all that stuff down, but then what else are they doing for the other 4 to 6 hours a day? Well, they're doing this paperwork, they're following up with leads, they're posting here, they're filling out this form. I need to know that so that as we progress throughout the process, we can then start to look at where can we infuse AI to automate as much of the manual, repetitive stuff as possible. Anything that is being done that is repetitive and manual is the easiest stuff for us to replace with an AI tool, an AI bot, or an AI agent, which I will talk about next week. But all that I'm looking for you to do as your step one over the next couple of weeks is to observe and to document. Now, I don't need it to be like exactly, wow, that they spent 2 minutes and 4 seconds. I want a range. But I'm looking for, well, if they spent 2 minutes, but they have to do 2 minutes every hour and they have to stop and do this, and that adds up to 30 minutes a day, every single day, 5 days a week. And it's across the boards. Well, we have a chef and all they do is they prepare the meals. Well, I promise you that that's not all they're doing. They're going through paperwork. They're checking the receipts versus receivables. They're placing orders. I need you to look at everything from the highest of level all the way down to the bottom. And it also needs to be done on you, because you and I are typically the easiest of distracted, to where you go down all these, well, I'll just do it myself. And then you start doing this paperwork and that manual entry in Excel, for example, and come to find out that 20, 30 hours of your week is spent on extremely low-level activities that we can replicate and or replace with AI. That is your homework assignment number one. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to give you step-by-step examples of, great, this is how we could completely replace your bookkeeper. Let's say you're investing $500 a month in bookkeeping. That expense could very rapidly go away. We're going to go through not just that, but all the other areas across your center. This AI revolution is going to be unlike anything that you or I have experienced or will ever experience in our lifetimes. It is here. It is coming massively quick. It's getting smarter by the hour, and it's going to change the game for you. If you adopt it, if you stick with me and execute, you're going to be in a league unlike any other centers on the planet. Hopefully that gets you to tune in next week. Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. See you next week.